Welcome to the HRchat Show, one of the world's most downloaded and shared podcasts designed for HR pros, talent execs, tech enthusiasts, and business leaders. For hundreds more episodes and what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. I'm your host today, Bill Banham. And in this episode, we're going to focus on employment law and a new solution designed to offer more accessible and transparent options for those seeking legal counsel and legal services for employees. My guest today is Lena Vartanian, founder of LawVo, a tech solution designed to connect legal professionals with customers via a fully virtual, transparent, and convenient experience. The LawVo team say that they bring better law to consumers, making the legal industry more accessible as a simple and affordable one-stop shop for finding legal counsel, while also offering legal professionals a flexible way to offer their services on their own terms. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Lena. Hey Lena, welcome to the HR Chat Show today.
Thank you so much, Bill. I'm happy to be here.
So Lena, beyond my introduction there, why don't you take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself to our listeners, tell them a bit about your career journey, and maybe just at a very high level, because we'll get into the details later, the mission of LawVo.
Sure. My name is Lena Vartanian. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LawVo. I was a practicing lawyer for the past 10 years as a litigator at top-tier law firms in Toronto. But I've always been involved in entrepreneurial ventures during my spare time. And with LawVo, I made it permanent. And truly, my passion is people, helping people, and providing access to justice. And with LawVo, I'm really doing that and living my passion on a daily basis.
Thanks for tuning in to the HR Chat podcast. If you're enjoying this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. And now, back to the conversation.
Okay, Lena, now I'd love for you to share some of your experience about being a woman lawyer and how that has maybe had an impact on where you find yourself today as the CEO of LawVo.
For sure. Just starting out on my legal journey, I really had, I guess, what you would call very unique circumstances. I had a 1-year-old child, and I had my second child during second year of law school. So while my friends were hanging out together, studying, partying, I was living a decaffeinated existence, watching Mickey Mouse and going back and forth in between study breaks with my children. So right from the start, I knew my journey would be difficult and filled with pressure and a little more challenging than most, but I was up for the challenge. And as Billie Jean King, she's a pioneer for social justice and equality from the 70s, had said, pressure is a privilege. And I really felt privileged to be able to fulfill my dream of becoming a lawyer. So after graduation, which I did graduate with all of my other peers, despite the maternity and having a child, I was hired by a top-tier law firm and continued on my journey. I managed children, career, marriage, stress for the most part. I was exhausted all the time. It was a race every day, but I continued along in my journey as being a lawyer was my passion. But as I moved forward, I did what most people do, look back, look ahead, look around you, where you are in your life, and the people that inspire you and have influenced who you have become and who you want to become. And in my life, the most important influence was my father. He taught me my work ethic and inspired me to become an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. The day he graduated from pharmacy school, he opened up his own pharmacy. And at 80 years old today, he's still an entrepreneur and still continues to work just the same way he did when he graduated. So when I got into law school, I always had this little whisper in the back of my mind, you're going to be a lawyer, but there's more for you in your future, specifically starting my own practice. However, at that time, graduating law school, it was really a daunting idea for someone to consider having their own practice and navigating the legal profession just coming out of law school. So I muted those thoughts for some time. And the thing is, the way that the recruitment process works in law school is that, the big law firms, top tier law firms come on campus, they hold interviews, and it's a whole process. And you look around you, it's the culture, your friends are like, oh, did you get an interview? Did you get an interview? Did you apply? Of course I applied. So you really get mixed up in this whole way of, I guess, finding a career and finding a job. And really, that becomes what you define as success as a law student. And when you graduate, getting a job at a top tier law firm, working really hard to become a partner. And at that point, you've essentially arrived. Law school doesn't teach law students how to be entrepreneurs or how to start their own firms. And really, there's no contemplation or preparation for that. So it's a really interesting 3-year process. And what happens is that people start their own practices thereafter out of necessity. So if you don't get hired back or if you don't get a job, then you have to start your own practice if you want to make an income. And really, it is quite daunting to even think of that at a later stage in your career. So, with LawVo, we are now giving lawyers the choice to simply register for free, have access to a full suite of virtual office tools and our client hub. And it comes essentially with no effort. We give the lawyers the tools to operate a practice with an integrated client acquisition tool, which not only helps customers, but also lawyers, allowing lawyers to work on their own terms, essentially from anywhere in the world. And it allows them to redefine what success has been defined at to date in the hallways of law schools and law firms today.
Maybe you could tell me now, paint a picture for us around the challenges faced by those looking for lawyers.
For sure. I'll share some really interesting statistics right now. Our research shows that 54% of women and 48% of men actually leave the profession 5 years after practicing, citing lack of freedom and limited work-life balance. So for firms, there's no part-time option. You either work full-time and you have to keep up with the billable hours. And honestly, the pay is such that most lawyers can't afford to work part-time. And there is a billable hour expectation, which although you get vacation days at firms, it's almost impossible to keep up with the billable hours and to take the vacation days. So in the 8 years that I worked at firms, I can't think of a single day that I actually took off. And even if I tried to take a day off, I would always be, pulled back by emails or phone calls and urgent matters. So, for a lot of lawyers starting your own firm, really you don't have the resources, financial or otherwise, or the knowledge to know even where to start. So those are some of the challenges facing lawyers. On the client side, on the customer side, there's a vast unserviced marketplace for unmet legal needs. Our statistics show and our research shows that Canadians get help from lawyers on only 11.7% of their justiciable events. So in plain English, they don't use lawyers when they need to 88% of the time. Why? The reasons cited through the research shows the issue of transparency of fees. How much does it cost? Fear of sticker shock is alive and well, and the unknown, again, is daunting. Accessibility, where do you even start looking for a lawyer? And findability, once you do find a lawyer, how do you know if that lawyer is a good one? So LawVo addresses these issues as well with 100% virtual experience for customers as well as lawyers.
Genos North America is a global team of changemakers using emotional intelligence to enhance how we connect, communicate, and collaborate at work. And we are proud to support this episode of the HRchat podcast. Transforming essential people skills at work makes a difference to people's relationships outside of the workplace. Using our tools, people become better parents, partners, siblings, and friends. That's why we call our work game-changing for business and life-changing for people. Learn more at genosnorthamerica.com.
Lena, how do you believe LawVo will affect the employment realm, and how will it impact employees and employer groups?
For employer groups, they usually have an HR division because they want to ensure that they're compliant with all of the regulations and employment practice, any various issues that may arise in the workforce, such as hiring or firing, or when other issues arise, human rights issues. Each of these require involvement from a legal professional, and generally employers or HR professionals consult with outside counsel for these types of issues, especially if they don't have an in-house GC or general counsel. And it's quite costly. So for employers, LawVo offers a subscription-based 24/7 legal helpline, which will allow employer groups and HR professionals an opportunity to speak to a lawyer about any issues that may arise, and also have access to a document center for documents that are required for HR professionals and employer groups to hire, fire, and to implement workplace policies. And these would all be available for starting as low as $39 a month. So imagine having unlimited access to legal assistance all day, every day, for as low as $39 a month. And on the employee side, we've heard a lot of talk about the importance of employee retention and acquisition, and how can employers stand out among their peers when making offers to employees. And one way is for them to offer innovative benefits. So what LawVo has done is provide employers an opportunity to provide employees with a 24/7 legal assistance line as a benefit. And it could be fully provided by the employer, or it could be a subsidy by the employer for that service. And what that would entail for the employees is any non-employment related matters. So, if an employee was evicted by their landlord, if they're getting separated, if there's any immigration issues that arise, the employee would have access to that, and it would be bulk pricing for the employer. So, quite affordable. So now what we've really done in terms of in the employment realm is really create a new generation where law is no longer a privilege but a right. Employees and employers will both have access to law in a way that was never available before LawVo.
Let's challenge you now in 60 seconds or less. Okay, I like to do this to my guests from time to time. I mix things up. In 60 seconds or less, what are 2 or 3 of the big employment challenges facing HR teams right now in 2023? So, for example, I'm guessing that a lot of it is to do with terminations.
Well, you'd be surprised. Definitely, we're seeing a lot of awareness in terms of diversity and inclusion in the workplace, hybrid workplace arrangements, and post COVID, we're actually looking at an increase in requests for accommodation resulting from mental health issues. And awareness, I guess, throughout society has kind of brought this into the workplace as a microcosm of society as well. And then we do have, of course, the typical issues that come up, such as terminations, human rights issues, and accommodations for physical issues. And in the normal course, these are all issues that are expensive to address as outside counsel is generally required. But with LawVo, our lawyer services, including the 24/7 legal helpline, can provide guidance and assistance to HR personnel throughout this process. And if it's something that requires a lawyer, then they'll be able to get that a quote on a fixed fee basis so that they can actually know how much and budget in terms of how it would cost to address these issues.
To summarize, why is the work LawVo is doing important, and how do you believe it's changing the legal landscape for lawyers and for customers?
For sure. Well, LAWVO really addresses all of the issues facing the legal profession, both on the customer side as well as for lawyers. And it really is changing the legal landscape for lawyers, customers, and HR professionals, as there's nothing currently available in the market like it. For lawyers, they simply register, there's no fee unless you actually get a customer. And we offer a full suite of virtual office tools such as chat, video conferencing, document center. And it's the tools to basically start your own practice with no upfront fees. And you also have our client acquisition tool. So you can really work from any place, anywhere, anytime, and on your own terms. What LawVo really is doing is bringing the gig economy to the legal profession. And we've actually been called the Uber for lawyers and customers. So for customers, we provide instant fixed fee quotes for legal services. And the customer would simply log in, choose a subject area, answer a few simple questions, and within seconds, they have instant fixed fee quotes from various legal professionals that are all vetted by LawVo and rated by the customers that use them. In addition, we provide access to a 24/7 legal helpline and document center for as low as $49 a month. There's, again, currently nothing like this in the market. And we will be taking LawVo live in Ontario beginning to mid-March. And then we will be going across Canada over the next year and year and a half. For employer groups, it's the same experience. So they basically have access to 24/7 legal helpline for anything to do with any HR related issues that come up, such as terminations, if workplace policies are required for things like discrimination, harassment, um, really anything such as offer letters, termination letters, lease agreements, all for fixed fee, or depending on your package, it might be included in your subscription. So really, again, what we're trying to do is make access to justice a right, not a privilege. And what we want to do is look for opportunities to help other people. Brian Tracy, who's a motivational sales speaker, he's a personal success authority, has always said successful people are always looking for opportunities to help others. Unsuccessful people are always asking, what's in it for me? And for LawVo, we're really about how we can better society, how we can help people who are underprivileged or don't have access to certain things, have access to legal representation, legal assistance, so that they can actually move forward in society.
Awesome. Lena, we are coming towards the end of this particular chat, but I'd like to do it again soon with you. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. I love the fact that anybody can access the services. Before we wrap up, however, how can our listeners connect with you? So maybe you might want to share your email address, LinkedIn, maybe all over Twitter and places. And of course, how can they learn more about LawVo?
For sure. So they can go to our website, www.lawvo.com. If you have any questions about any of our products, you can contact us at support@lawvo.com, or you can reach out to me, Lena@lawvo.com. In terms of LinkedIn, we have our LawVo Legal. You can also find me, Lena Vartanian, on LinkedIn. We've got LawVo Legal on Instagram as well as Facebook. And we're really happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. So yes, please reach out to us directly or through our support emails. One of our staff will definitely get back to you.
Rock and roll. Well, that just leaves me to say for today, Lena, it's been my pleasure having you on as my guest on this episode of the HR Chat Show.
Thank you so much, Bill. It was a pleasure.
And listeners, as always, until next time, happy working.
Thanks for listening to the HR Chat Show. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and listen to some of the hundreds of episodes published by HR Gazette? And remember, for what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.